Already. I think we're live. Hello, hello to anyone in the ethos watching. StreamYard is telling me I have 6 people in here. That is huge. If anyone's watching, how's the audio, guys? We're sounding good? T Beastie, what's up, man? Happy New Year. Hope things are going well for you. We'll give it a couple minutes, see if anyone rolls in, and then I'll do a quick little chat about the Sword and Shield market. How's the audio, by the way? Everything sounding good? Lifter, what's up, bro? Open. My eyes are getting bad, man. I'm at unk status now. I think that's Lifter, right? How's it going, man? Hey, Grayson. Jordan, what's going on, bro? Good to see you. Just watched the Rolo printer review on your person. Yeah, it's funny. I've had I think probably 5 or 6 people find that video now. And yeah, I love my Rolo. It's great. I've had no issues with it. For me too, I'm really hard on stuff for some reason. I've dropped it a ton and it's still in great shape. I also have a ton of other videos on there that I privated because they were politically based videos. I did a lot of that stuff back in the day, so figured it wasn't the best to share anymore. Hey, happy New Year's Eve. Daniel, what's going on, man? What's going on today? Alejandro, how's it going, brother? Eric, what's my thoughts on one or on Riftbound? I almost said One Piece. We could get into that later. I do want to start off a little bit with the Sword and Shield market. It's Sword and Shield time. Yep, Palone, we're gonna get into it. I guess I can share my screen. Let's go like this. Actually, like this might be better. So I'm sure you guys can see this. Sword and Shield is starting to move again, and it really doesn't matter which booster box you're looking at. I think there's some moving better than others, but Evolving Skies, this in terms of sales volume is really starting to impress me. On eBay, we're back to about summer levels in terms of the amount of boxes moving on a daily basis. TCG player, we're still behind a little bit, around 2180, 2190, but I think it's only a matter of time before we start to see this move back up to 22, 2300. I'm going to try and juggle this, keeping up with chat as well. Yo, I'm the guy in the Discord who bought the Chainsaw Man box. Hey, Cole, what's going on, brother? That's an awesome box, by the way. I love seeing just random booster boxes. I think that was the first time I've seen one of those. I know there's like Harry Potter, Neopets, just anything like that I find super interesting. OMG, I didn't expect you to look like how you do. I feel like everyone says that, man. Addie one, what's going on, brother? Not in a bad way or anything. Yeah, I've had people say that they thought I was gonna be black with long hair. It's funny. Happy holidays, legend. FOMO, what's going on, bro? Dilemma, how you doing? Happy New Year from the UK. Awesome, bro. Ray, which part of the UK are you from? I don't think is it New Year yet there? Like 11 p.m., 10:45, something like that. Any plans for tonight? By the way, I feel obliged to say anyone going out, be smart. Don't drink and drive. Take a taxi and Uber. Be responsible, right? We're all grown-ups here. But yeah, outside of Evolving Skies, guys, lots of boxes moving. Chilling Rain. I mean, on TCG Player, you can already start to see the rebound happening here, up to around what 465. Lots of sales. Look at this, 580. Most recent sale, 580. I'm pretty sure you can find Chilling Rain cheaper than 580 if you look on eBay. And one other box too that I really wanted to talk about was Brilliant Stars. You guys know, I think I was probably the first one this week to make a video talking about Brilliant, saying it was back to all-time highs. There's a listing currently on eBay North America if anyone's interested. Brilliant Stars 389 per booster box, which is insanely cheap. It's from a zero feedback seller. They've sold two, excuse me, they've sold 2 of the boxes. I don't know. The photos look legit. You're probably taking some risk, but if anyone's interested and wants to jump in, that's probably a good listing to go for right now. What did you expect? Yeah, exactly. What did you expect, man? I keep forgetting I can bring these up too. This is such an OP tool. I've noticed that there's a trend for at least 2 to 3 years I've been investing that September and January, February is when prices spike. Yeah, I mean, there's probably some level of seasonality to things for sure. Definitely makes sense. We got like 4 to 6 inches, 4 to 6 inches of snow today in Buffalo, so probably staying inside. Yikes, man. I'm lucky here. We still haven't had a ton of snow yet, but I'm not looking forward to doing a lot of shoveling this year. I feel like every time I go to Colombia and come back, I just think to myself like, why am I here? Things are so expensive. Weather in the winter is awful. Every time I feel like I'm getting closer and closer to just leaving. LMO, I had people tell me the same. Think it's the bass in your voice. Yeah, that might be it for some people too. And I think too, people just kind of have expectations of I don't know, they make things up in their own head, which is fine. Happy New Year from a Sword and Shield fan. Amen. Funk, do you currently own any Sword and Shield? If so, what are we talking here? Largest position? I'm curious. Walmart had MJ holding Prismatic ETB for $70. Missed the window though. Wow, that's pretty cheap. Do you have like Sam's Clubs around you or anything? I know a lot of people, or Dollar General, right? Those were the $40 ones. New guy to your channel from London, England. Hey man, what's up? Hoping to buy a prismatic or prismatic Brilliant Stars booster box this week and maybe a Silver Tempest booster box. Yeah, those are good pickups for sure. In terms of like pricing in the UK, what are you looking at? Is it similar to us in the States and Canada? I know some things are more expensive. Yo, Catalano, what's going on, brother? Yeah, in just over 2 hours, Wales. Okay, awesome. Nerdy too with glasses. I mean, I am kind of nerdy, and I probably should have glasses, so yep, kind of adds up. Lamal. I've had half a dozen people I know in the hobby call wanting to buy some Sword and Shield boxes from my stash this last week. Yeah, Sword and Shield is moving, man, and it's not just a couple sets. Like it really is all the alt art sets. You could even throw in battle styles, I think. Sorry, guys. This is not the best performance here. Silver Tempest. I think this is one of the interesting ones as well. We're starting to rebound even on TCG player. I I don't think you can find listings below like 400 now on eBay, and last week there was a ton below that point. Even Fusion, this is a box now that I think lowest listed on eBay is like 900, maybe 902, something like that. One list. Am I shipping to Canada? Let me change this. There's got to be more boxes on TCG Player, right? Yeah, 870 plus 20 shipping. Um, this is all just loose packs and stuff. Yeah, 890 on TCG Player. This would actually be the cheapest listing I think you could find between TCG Player and eBay right now. I mean, maybe there's an auction cheaper, but I think Fusion's going to be running back up to 1,000 here fairly quickly. Hey, Alex, what's up, man? Congrats on all the success. Here's to another banger in 2026. Thank you, bro. We're gonna have to do a live stream sometime. I had someone say that they asked me if I wanted to be on live streams, and I felt like I need to put in the work first. Do the reps. It's kind of like getting a call up to the big leagues. You got to go through the farm systems first. Brilliant Stars BB at 380 euros in the UK. What is that in USD? My conversions are really bad here. That sounds fairly similar in price, though, I think. Happy New Year's, man. Even though sleeves are a pain to sell, any packs of Destined Rivals at MSRP are a home run. Yeah, probably. I mean, I haven't looked at sleeve boosters and what they're going for, but I know right now with OP13, if you guys can find those sleeve boosters for what, $7 Canadian, 8 Canadian, so like 5 US. I think they're going for like double that. So yeah, Destin's probably in a similar boat. Makes sense. What is your opinion on ETB versus booster box price appreciation? So I think it depends. Like Generally and historically, the booster boxes have done better than the ETBs. I still think specialty sets, if you're buying cases of ETBs, it's probably one of the better ways to go about it. Regular ETBs for a mainline set, not something I'd touch. Obviously, PCTBs have done incredibly well also. So if you're getting those close to MSRP, seems like a no-brainer. Um, yeah, I mean, I think things are always going to change, right? Like before 2025, everyone thought that booster boxes were the best item. Then PCTBs came along, had their run. Will that continue? Who knows? I'm always just trying to look at the data and go with what's new and up to date. Stay with the trends. I think you can't go wrong though. Like if you're buying ETB cases for specialty sets, booster boxes for regular ones, you're probably doing all right. Do you think 151 bundle displays at 1200 are a good price? Uh, that seems kind of under market, no? I thought market was like 14 currently, 15. At one point, weren't they like 18? I think the loose packs of 151 are up to maybe like $15 or something. I'm pretty sure someone shared that in the Discord, so yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if the bundles start to run. Cody, what's up, man? I feel like this is the only emoji I ever see Cody leave. Every video, it's always the hand wave. Man, a few words. Now, is there anything else I want to touch on in terms of Sword and Shield? Lost Origin. We could talk about this for a minute. Same sort of deal. It's starting to turn around. If you guys are in the spreadsheet, you can go check the numbers. There's still a little bit more Lost Origin out there compared to Fusion and Brilliant, it seems. I will say though, Brilliant, a lot of the boxes, at least on eBay this week, are from Hobbiesville. I think maybe like 60% or more. So without them, like the supply is really low. But yeah, Lost Origin, same sort of deal, starting to turn around. I think we saw sales, yeah, 760, 770, recent ones from today. I think it's going to be consistently over 800 here fairly quickly. I really do. It's so interesting too. I don't I don't really talk about the Sun and Moon era a lot on the channel anymore just because people tend to not watch those videos. But even looking at the Sun and Moon era, things are turning around. Team Up, we had like a $11,000 sale, 10.5K average, I think, over the past couple weeks, at least in North America. I think it's only a matter of time before some of those other boxes like Cosmic, Unbroken Bonds, Unified Minds, they're all going to start to fly as well. Battle Styles is so underrated for a set with illustrations. Some people call it underrated. I don't know if I could say that it's underrated though. You have one good card in there. I'm not really a huge fan of anything else. It hasn't really performed well over the past 3 years. Can we really call it underrated? Are you buying some though, Jason? If you believe in it, let's see the bags. Send the DM. I think 1200 all in is a great. Yeah, I think so. Especially if you don't have any. I'm a big fan of 151 BB displays, especially at 33% under all-time highs. Yeah, I think it's reasonable, especially with the pullback for sure. Yeah, investor community is now Sword and Shield and after. Pretty much. It's very rare you find people that still have a lot of Sun and Moon. Very, very rare. My man, I'm glad I get to catch you live. My reading is off. I need some glasses here, guys. I appreciate the hard work and info you put into this. Thank you. Happy New Year, bud. John, thank you for being here, man. Happy New Year to you as well. Hopefully, you have a good night. Stay safe if you're going out partying. Can you talk One Piece, or you like to keep each channel separate? I generally like to keep each channel separate just because I know a lot of people don't enjoy the One Piece stuff, but I will entertain it here for a little bit. Give me a second. Let me add, I think I have to remove this Foley like so. Share screen, because there's a lot of interesting things going on in One Piece that I know some people will be interested in for sure. So if you guys aren't up to date, One Piece, it's continuing to move. All the cope from Pokemon YouTubers. It's kind of slowed down, and I think people are starting to realize it is a legit investment. Now, could things change? 100%. Bandai could come in and mess it up like they've done with other TCGs, but when we look at a set like Carrying on His Will, OP13, we're now up to $400. This is a box, by the way, that a month and a half ago you could have been pre-ordering for 140 bucks, 135 maybe if you were lucky. It's just so deep, and it's really hard to see a set like this, even if they reprint it. I kind of compare it to Destined Rivals right now, where the boxes just started to run, and it's at the point where even if they reprint, I can't imagine we're ever going to see this box be like $200 again. I think it's very unlikely. OP13 going crazy. Yeah, it's if you look at the sales volume too, which is the really interesting thing to me, it's actually more impressive than Destined Rivals, which even at $400 sells well. OP13 is selling at rates I've never seen before in One Piece. And generally, when we have a set come out in One Piece, the following months you see the sales volume drop and continue to decline. It's not like it ever goes up. OP13 is the complete opposite. The first month it was out, we were talking about maybe 8 boxes per day moving on eBay, and that would be buy it now and auctions, because for One Piece I do include the auctions. It's now up to I think like 20, 19 or 20. So we'll see next month how things go, but just incredibly strong. Seeing large volume of Sword and Shield now, price spike seems imminent. Yeah, 100% Ray. The sales volume's upticking, and it's been doing that for probably a month at this point. And some people paid attention. Some people were buying a couple weeks ago, but I still think there's a lot of room to run on Sword and Shield. It's gonna be interesting to see what happens next year. Sleepy T-Tar is awesome, and I like Urshifu, but I don't own any. Yeah, I do love the Tyranitar. It's a great card. The Urshifus I'm not as high on, but I understand why people like them. They're pretty cool artworks. I caught OP13 at 170 because of you. John, that's a good buy, man. That's a good buy. Anyone who's paying attention's done well. But again, like who knows what's gonna happen next year? I I imagine Bandai's gonna up their print runs. They just have to with what's going on. And if they don't, I mean those boxes are gonna run to like $1,000. Should I sell a 151 PCTB for a box of O5? I mean that's a tough choice for sure. Personally, and again, this is bias, but I think there's more room on something like an O5 box. Now, could 151 PCTBs continue to do well? Like, sure. But at least with the booster boxes and even in One Piece, we've seen boxes run to $1,500 with the white bottoms. The blue bottoms up to like 5K, but I do think that's kind of an outlier because they had to reprint a ton of the cards. They didn't do the blue bottoms ever again. So that's a little bit different, but OPO5 around $700-800. I think there's room for it to double for sure. Probably even higher than that. I mean, Gear 5 Luffy and the Oda Sig kind of seems like a no-brainer. Do you think it'd be worth importing prismatic booster bundle displays from Europe, considering they're exclusive? I actually thought about doing this. If you can find a decent enough price. Like if you're buying the booster bundles anyways in North America and you're getting a very similar price to get the bundle, why not? Right? Kind of makes sense. I know you can also look in Asia too. There are a couple distributors in Singapore where they got bundles, and I think it's like fairly similar in price. You can even get like the master cases, which I think are very interesting. I actually thought about doing that, but I bought some more PRBO1 instead, so we'll see how that plays out. Find out the import fees 100%. Yeah, if you're importing anything, you got to deal with that. For anyone in Canada, if you are trying to import stuff, I think generally the best way to go about it is you just use Canada Post. So if you're coming from another country, you got to figure out who their partner carrier is, but they have the lowest brokerage fee. FedEx, DHL, UPS, they're all a lot higher. And then on top of that, if you're in Alberta, you're only going to be paying 5% to bring it in. Whereas if you're in like Ontario or BC, it's going to be 12, 13, depending. Happy New Year. 2 drink minimum, Mr. Grayson. Jason, appreciate you stopping by. 2 drinks. That's more than I would indulge myself in because I don't drink anymore. I have a really embarrassing story from my teenage years, and that really turned me off from ever drinking again. But yeah, have a good night, man. Enjoy it. Last day of 2025. OP13 is going crazy. I think I brought that up already. Yep, 100%. Just bought 3 OP12 booster boxes for 140 a piece earlier. 8 boxes at 135 average over the last 10 days. Yeah, it seems not terrible. I think if I can bring this up actually, if I go back here, I'm pretty sure OP12 was starting to run again today on TCG Player. I think we were up to around 180 recent sales. 157 market, and then recent sales 180, 170. Just the hobby's the lowest at 183 currently. I think it's only a matter of time. I'm pretty sure like Hobbiesville though, and a couple other Canadian stores still have these for like 200 Canadian. So if you want to get boxes, there's still cheaper boxes available to you. Zuko, what's up, man? Happy New Year, brother. Happy New Year to you as well. Happy to see you doing more lives. I saw some fairly nice gains this year, and a lot of that came from following your advice. So thanks for the help. Thank you, bro. Appreciate you watching the videos. What was like your biggest win on the year? Were you in One Piece? I think you bought some, right? You had to have. Definitely wasn't my best year for Pokemon. I made some questionable plays, but we'll try and correct that next year. One Piece booster box growth over the last couple of months has been absolutely insane. I genuinely don't know what to do with some of my investments, lol. It seems too good to be true. I've heard a few people say that, and it's interesting because I kind of felt the same way to begin with. But the deeper I look into some of these print runs and how many boxes are actually out there, and the really interesting thing for you guys who only look at Pokemon, go look at some of the pop reports. They're insanely low. I'm actually going to be interviewing Alex Kong on January 2nd. He owns 14 of 67 Black Label Gold Rogers in English. And just talking to him a little bit and, talking to a few other people, some of these top cards are almost deflationary, which is ridiculous to say, but the people buying these have no intention of ever reselling them. For them, it's a drop in the bucket. They're getting these for their collection. They're leaving them at the vault, PSA vault that is, putting them in trusts. Like they're evaporating in thin air right in front of us. So it's going to be really interesting to see, especially if Bandai doesn't go back and reprint OP09 or even some of these newer sets, EBO2, PRBO2, OP11. We're going to have very low pops on some of these cards. And that, of course, is just going to make those cards more expensive. That's going to push the boxes up. So that's kind of the point there. I like DR sleeves at 8-ish Canadian. Pretty findable in stores now. Yeah, I mean, Destiny Rivals is a good set for sure. I'm still holding off. Like I've done the sleeve thing in the past. I hate storing them and selling them, so I'm looking to get booster boxes. But if you don't mind it, for sure, go sleeve boosters. Happy New Year, Prophet. Hero TCG, what's up, man? Happy New Year to you as well. Hopefully it's gonna be a good one. Just 3 battle styles. Hey, bro, if it's underrated, I feel like you should have more, no? Maybe like a case, 2 cases. But that's good. At least you have a little bit of position. That's always been one of my biggest pet peeves, whether it's in Pokemon investing, especially One Piece now. Like a couple of the creators coming in, starting to make market videos, I feel like they have zero One Piece, if I'm being honest, or very little. Like they'll get a box or two to display, but I don't feel like a lot of those people who are coming in right now actually believe in One Piece long term. That's just my opinion. Could be wrong. Not going to call anyone out by names, but I'm sure some people can figure out who I'm talking about. Colin, what's up, man? Popping in to support. I have 17 Evo boxes, so let's pump. Hey, I'll do my best to shill your evolving skies, bro. I got it. It'll be coming. Weekly videos at this point. And you have more than just evolving. You have an amazing collection, man. Amazing collection display. I'm jealous. I gotta do something. Didn't want to do that. Sorry, guys. I gotta do something with the background next year. I'm sure some people can see the Luffy wanted poster. I actually bought those. There's a couple more. Oh my gosh, this is in reverse. Over here, there's a couple more of these poster things. I got them in Bogota when we were down near Simon Bolivar Square for like $5 each or something. It was the most random thing to see One Piece on the streets there. But yeah, I'm gonna work on my background next year. Hopefully, I can compete with yours eventually one day. Let's see what else we got going on here. Um, how do you figure out a sell price? I picked up an Evolving Skies booster box case at retail in early 2022 and have been holding but tempted to sell. Not a real handle. That's a good question. So my philosophy's actually changed a lot over the past, I'd say 18 months. I was a really big fan of just taking profits whenever, and I still am, by the way. I think I like taking profits on weaker sets when they can double. And generally, if I'm owning a weaker set, it's because when I bought it, I didn't expect it to be as weak of a set as it turns out to be. So, for example, Astral Radiance at this point, I feel like if I move a few boxes, I could probably put that money to better use somewhere else. For something like a stronger set, Evolving Skies, Brilliant, Fusion, whatever else you want to throw in there, the real winners, I think going forward, I'm going to try and be at 300 to 400% before I start to offload some of my position. But things get murky, right? And we don't have the best data yet, in my opinion, on how things are going to perform after like 5 years or once they pass $1,000 and $2,000. What's the expected ROI going to be? I think the numbers are still really murky, and that's where people need to come up with better data. And hopefully we can get those answers in the future. But for now, a lot of it's still feel, in my opinion. If you bought early 2022, you're probably into the case for less than $1,000, I'd imagine. And they're going for 15K. Like, I wouldn't want to sell all my evolving. So if that's all you have, I would probably crack the case if I wanted to sell some of the boxes. Maybe sell four, keep two, something like that. I think evolving still has really good legs on it. So I'm absolutely holding my evolving. But that's kind of how I think about things now. Non-TCG related, but do you have any opinion on the gold and silver jumps? Ah, you're talking about in gold and silver. Yeah, I don't really have strong opinions, man. Like I'm probably not the person to ask when you're looking at wider markets outside the TCGs. I tend to stick to what I know, but I think it's interesting for sure. People tend to invest into Sword and Shield right now because of the new printing factory. Do you think it's a safe play? I think Sword and Shield's about as safe as it gets in the Pokemon markets right now, just because the likelihood that anything Sword and Shield gets reprinted is probably less than 1%, less than like 0.5%, you know? Just based on what Pokemon's done in the past. Once things are out of rotation, they tend not to touch them. We're now an entire era removed from Sword and Shield, so yeah, I think it's a really safe bet. And I think when you look at where some of these Sun and Moon booster boxes are at, $1,000, 2,000. It's fairly likely that some of these Sword and Shield sets will get there in the future. Crazy One Piece rebounded, had 5 Gum Gum Fruits and OPO4 and OPO6 boxes in the closet when they just sat in price. Yeah, One Piece was, you know, it's funny because I've been in One Piece for most of this year, and even before the boom, because I think people are only looking at the past couple months, even before October, even mid-September, a lot of things had moved really well this year. Like OPO5 was up over 100%, I believe. PRBO1, EBO2, Romance Dawn, obviously, the first and second anniversary sets in English. Like there were tons of products moving up in price before the boom. And I think it was just a matter of time. I will say though, like OPO4 and O6 at this point are some of the weaker sets. I mean, maybe 6 is towards the middle. I do like the SPs there, but the top sets that had really desirable cards have absolutely crushed it, even outside like the past 60 days. What's your take on what's your take on there are too many investors in the Pokemon space and we are now in a saturated stage? Or are we so early like buying Bitcoin when it was still a few $100? Yeah, good question, right? Like these are always things you should be asking yourself. I think Dan from Catch 'em All Collectibles, he did a really good video, and I know the idea originally came from Anon, where they were looking at how many packs had actually been opened, right? Because I think if you are a sealed investor, that's probably one of the most important things that you could try and figure out is how much sealed product is actually left. And people are always going to debate the numbers, what percentage of cards get graded, what percentage of cards have been opened, etc. But I think there's a lot less out there than at least some people in the Pokemon space believe. Especially if you're watching anti-investor content, a lot of those people tend to sensationalize what's going on and they don't actually provide numbers to back up what they're saying. And that's fair. I mean, they're pandering to their audience, right? Like you got to do that on YouTube, but I think if you do a really honest job and try and be objective and look at the numbers, it just doesn't add up that everyone's sitting on sealed product. Like sure there are a lot of people, but to say that I think people overestimate the amount by a wide margin. I'll leave it at that. Seems like all the PokeTubers are talking Sword and Shield now. Yeah, yeah, for sure. hmm I do the weekly video, man. So I can't say that I'm first. I've just been consistent, but it seemed obvious that it was coming over the past couple weeks, just looking at the data. Just got 8 boxes of Fusion and 50 bundles of Prismatic. They're my target sets right now. Uncle, that's those are good targets, in my opinion. Fusion and Prismatic, you can't go wrong there for sure. Yeah, I'm in Alberta. Unlucky, man. I studied in Edmonton and no desire to go back to Alberta, at least not soon. The weather there is it's rough in the winter. At what price does a booster box have the same volatility as a single card? For example, once Cosmic hits 3,500 a box, is the collectible. The box is the collectible and usually never be opened. Am I just reading this wrong? For example, once Cosmic hits 3,500, the box is the collectible and will usually never be opened. I mean, I don't think a box is ever going to have the same volatility as a card, in my opinion. I think there maybe are specific examples that you could point to where that's the case. For example, some of these cards, right, especially in One Piece that are low pop, it almost acts in a deflationary manner just because the people buying them are never planning to put them back on the market. But I think just in general, you have one asset that's deflationary and one that's not. So I'm not sure if they're ever going to have the same level of volatility. But again, that's my peanut brain rambling there, right? So you're one of the real runs. Man, talking is tough today. Holy shit. You're one of the real ones, Prophet, along with Alex. I agree. Alex keeps it real. Watch Rudy and started watching Redbeard for entertainment. Redbeard. Dude, I watched one of his videos. For sure entertaining. For sure. I feel like a lot of it's rage bait too. But yeah, big fan of Alex. Alex was probably like Probably the first creator I started watching the space. I mean, maybe Rudy I'd watched before, but yeah, definitely two that'll tell you how it is. There are a lot of people on YouTube that just wanna make you feel good. They'll say what they need to get you to watch their vids, click like, but there are some people that stand out for sure. Tomorrow is 1 year no beer. Don't miss it. Use extra money to buy shiny cardboard. Congrats, Painter. That's huge. Yeah, when I was a teenager, like we would go to house parties and stuff, obviously. And one night I got really drunk to the point where I ended up in the hospital. And I mean, I've drank after that night. Like that was 12 years ago at this point, 13 years ago. But it just got to a point in my mid 20s where I was like, this is stupid. Like, why am I even doing this? And again, like, no hate to anyone who like drinks casually or anything like that, but it's expensive. It's not good for your health. So, and honestly, like, a lot of alcohol, I just don't enjoy drinking. So, yeah, I'd rather just have like a Diet Coke or water. What happened in the teenage years? That's the story, man. I got blackout drunk, had the ambulance called, ended up in the hospital, and yeah, never again. Never, never again. Would you buy an Evolving Skies Umbreon or two Prismatic Evolutions Umbreon? Uh, Daro, I'm probably not the person to ask because I love sealed product and I hate buying slabs. Um, if I had to pick one, it's gonna be purely based on my bias and which one I think looks cooler. And I'll be honest, I like the original Umbreon VMAX more than the Sumbreon. That's my take, but only based on the artwork. Do you have a favorite card from Sword and Shield and SV? Hmm, it's a good question. I would say the Bubble Mew has to be up there from the SV era. I think it looks so cool. Obviously, the Alakazam from 151, just because Alakazam's my favorite Pokemon. Sword and Shield, I really like the Lugia from Silver Tempest. I mean, the colors and everything just look amazing. Those would be, I'd lock that in. Those are my answers. 6, 7, guys. We gotta leave this. We gotta leave this in 2025. No more 6, 7. No more. Bad. We gotta move on. At least bump it up like 7, 8, something like that. I went from 200K Canadian to 488 in the last year. It's been wild. That is insane. That is crazy growth. Is that mainly sealed product? Or do you have a lot of slabs too? I hope you have insurance too, man. I know finding insurance in Canada is just, oh my gosh, it's such a headache. That's one thing I'm envious about for you guys in America. A lot easier to get stuff insured. With Pokemon, yeah, that's awesome, man. Zuko, I bought a lot of OP09, a little EBO2, and a little OP13. Big fan of, yeah, I'm a big fan of O9 too. And the really interesting thing as well, let me bring this up. The Gold Roger, and this probably won't interest some people, but if you guys are only in Pokemon, you should probably be paying attention to this. The Gold Roger manga. I know it says it's about $4,300, 1 month chart. We're talking 4,700. This is a $9,000 card at this point. 9K, most recent sale. On eBay, it's the same deal. You can't find this card for less than 9K. And if you do, it's probably a very good buy. The PSA 10s are going for $15,000 plus at this point. And if you guys are interested to learn more about the Gold Roger, learn more about OP09 and One Piece, I highly recommend coming to check out when I interview Alex Kong on January 2nd. We're going to be doing that 1 p.m. He owns 14 of the 67 black labels of this card in existence. And I think it's a very interesting conversation to be had about some of these low pop cards in One Piece. And I mean, it could probably even apply to Pokemon too, but they're just getting evaporated. It's never going to come back to market. Even if the pop goes up, in practice, the available amount of copies out there is probably just going to continue dropping. It's really interesting to look at the Gold Roger. And there are some other cards in One Piece too, like even the OP09 manga Luffy, the black label on that. I think there's 5 in existence. Shanks, there's 3. Same deal with EBO2 Luffy. Very interesting. Where do you see OP13 at the end of 2026? I see a world where the boxes are now. Let me finish. Let me finish. I see a world where the boxes are $800, and I see a world where the boxes are like $250. It's ultimately going to depend on Bandai and how many boxes they put out. If they print this into the ground, or at least do an increased print run, which I think they should do, by the way, uh, it's going to be interesting. It could go either way, in my opinion. But any sort of reprint, I think, is going to get chewed through fairly quickly. There are a lot of people I know who are sitting on cash and they're waiting. And if more boxes come, they're going to be buyers. What do you think of the longevity of One Piece after the main anime ends? I see good for the next 5 years, but after that, yeah, this is a question that I think a lot of people ask when they look at One Piece investing. I I'll definitely be interested to see what happens after the story ends, whether that's the manga. I mean, the manga will obviously end before the anime. I feel confident over the next 5 years because I think it probably will take that long for the story to end. After that, it will be interesting to see. I think that you will see some level of drop off in the years following. I mean, Harry Potter's not as large as it was back in like '07, '08. So I think the same thing will happen to One Piece. But I also don't think it's super relevant when we are talking about some of these older boxes, like Romance Dawn, even OPO5, OPO9, some of these really desirable sets. When you look at the amount that's been printed, by the time we get to 2030 and what's actually going on with the story at that point, whether it's finished or still going, the supply is going to be so low that even if demand drops a little bit, I still think those boxes are going to be very stable and you're going to be able to move them. But in terms of like 20, 30 years out, I do worry a little bit about that. But I think short term, it's not something I'm even paying attention to. I've watched One Piece for 2 years now and only have OP9. I've been all in Pokemon for 4 years now. But now that I see One Piece running without me, I feel discouraged getting at current booster box prices. Yeah, I mean, it's something where I think you should have a little bit, but believe in the IP, right? Don't jump in because it's FOMO. If you're only jumping in because you see the boxes running, probably not something you should be investing in. I recommend everyone do a bit of research, look at the cards, look at the wider impact in culture, and just kind of how everything's peaking, and probably has room to go still, in my opinion. So if you do all that and you still buy in, I think that's fine. Behind chat, yep. I'm always behind on chat, man. It's a problem trying to answer everything. You're right about how reined in the print runs have been for One Piece. That was part of why I got into it a year and a half ago. Bandai gave a lot of signs that they were in the OPTCG for the long haul. Yeah, for sure. They've done a good job in my opinion. Going forward, it's gonna be something they need to adjust for sure. But I'm hopeful they can do a good job because they've proven up to this point that they have at least some level of understanding of what they need to do in order to make the game successful. What's the obvious booster box pickup at the moment, you reckon? Chilling or Brilliant? Oh, Chilling. Chilling or Brilliant? Yeah, I would probably go with Brilliant nowadays just because I think long term, the market's spoken. It's probably going to be a bit better than Chilling. Lost Origin Feud, I think it's very close right now. Like basically any of the alt art sets, excluding Battle Styles and Silver Tempest. I think you could make an argument that any of the other ones, and Astral too. I mean, Astral's trash. We don't talk about that anymore. Outside those, it's very close. Whatever you find deals on, I don't think it's going to matter too much. Even if Sword and Shield gets reprinted, it's hardly going to move. Yeah, I mean, I don't even think it's worth having that conversation because I the odds of it happening are just so low. But for sure, like if anything else came to market, people would buy it up instantly. DC, what's up, man? Happy New Year, brother. Hopefully, it's gonna be a good one for both of us. Hey, Pokey Profit. Trav, what's up, man? I bought a case of Stellar Crown at 900 earlier this year. Do you think it's worth selling now and reinvesting to Sword and Shield or just keep holding? Yeah, good question. I mean, you know, and Alex talks about this too from Nostalgianomics. When you sell stuff, you're going to incur fees, right? You're 15% to sell or whatever, shipping, pay taxes on it, all that. Then when you buy stuff, you're probably paying taxes. So for a lot of people, it's not worth doing. Um, I mean, if you can offload it close to market, not pay a ton of fees, that definitely changes things. I'll just say, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of the alt art sets from Sword and Shield end up outperforming Stellar Crown over the next 3 to 5 years. Even still, with Stellar being cheaper, I just don't think it's that good of a set. You have a couple decent cards in there people want. Outside of that, garbage, in my opinion. So hopefully that answers your question. It's really gonna be dependent on what's available to you. Thanks to you, I got in on OPO9 and EBO2 at release. Dano, that's awesome, brother. That is awesome. Those are good buys at MSRP for sure. And they were just so obvious too. Like maybe EBO2 was a little bit less obvious. For me, my thesis was it's a box that extra booster, so probably not going to get a reprint. Luffy manga. I never expected that the gold leaders would do as well as they have. Like those have just popped off, and the population reports are so low still. Like even the boa, I think we're at maybe 35 or 36 now in a PSA 10. And by the way, there are zero black labels for any of those in English. Zero. It doesn't matter if you're looking at the Calgara, the Hody Jones, the Boa, the Loof, like zero. None. Which is very, and even the BGS 10 pristines, there's hardly any as well. Those are gonna kind of become the de facto black labels until we actually get black labels, which maybe we never will, but yeah, really interesting. Really interesting to look at EBO2. Can I get this box for 130 USD? Should I? Imply, which one are you implying? Which one are you talking about? Oh, that was that was a terrible pun. Didn't even work. There are more people sitting on product, but there are more people ripping. Yeah, I agree. Like I I watch Wenzel TCG basically every night. I think the stream's insanely entertaining. They do a good job. It blows my mind how much product just they go through. And it's I think they're brothers, right? Just a two-man crew. Like yeah, the amount of product being ripped is crazy. Gambling culture in general is still just pumping. Like I get approached basically weekly at this point by a new gambling company wanting to sponsor the channel. It's just such a profitable niche right now. Do you think Sword and Shield booster boxes are better investment than 151 booster bundle display? Torn, I think it's close. I really do think it's close. I think it would depend on the box. Are we comparing Evolving Skies to 151 or are we comparing Chilling Reign to 151? I think that matters, but yeah, it's tough. I think it's going to be close, especially if you're buying at market. What do you think about Riftbound? I still don't think anything about Riftbound. I haven't had time. I've been so busy, and it's something I've wanted to look at a little bit closer, but just got to find the hours. That's kind of like the biggest issue. Hopefully one day I'll be able to do a little more research and get into it. Question: what makes OP top chases so expensive? Is it sales volume high on the? Is the sales volume high on those cards? Trying to understand the One Piece market better as a Pokemon guy. So first of all, the One Piece chases, like if you look at these cards in person, they they're beautiful. Like the texture on the mangas is insane. Even the SPs. For a lot of the top chases, it comes down to population. So for example, the Umbreon VMAX, we're at what, 30,000? PSA pop, something like that. When you look at this Gold Roger, I believe, because I think 2 days ago was this, 2 or 3 days ago, I believe it's still 247 PSA 10 population. 247 in the entire world. When you look at the black labels, there are actually a decent amount of the black labels out there, 67, but I know someone's going to say 6, 7 just because I said that again. Fuck. But the one guy who owns 14, he has no plan of selling. That's what he told me. There's apparently another really large player in China who he's trying to buy some as well. He has no intention of selling. A lot of these people who are even buying the PSA 10s, they are never going to sell. So it is incredibly difficult to find these cards. And the Gold Roger is just one example, and it's about 10K now. If you look at like the EBO2 Luffy, the OPO9 Luffy, these are pops of around 500, I think. And then when you look at black labels, there's maybe 3 to 5 of them, like a handful. There's not many out there. Very low rates too when we talk about the black labels, like 1% to 3% on a lot of those cards. So that's a lot of what's driving the demand right now is just scarcity, but also they're incredibly beautiful cards. Insanely beautiful cards if you see them in person. You're right about drinking. Yeah, drinking has destroyed a lot of lives. So, I know a lot of people can do it casually and they can control it, and that's awesome. But for me, it's not something I want to do anymore in life. Past that stage. What about XY booster boxes? Card Chaos Collectibles, first of all. Thank you for stopping by. Happy New Year. I I think we're at a point now with XY where a lot of things are going to start slowing down in terms of annualized ROI. We had a huge pump in 2025, which is great. I can't imagine that's going to continue. And generally, before the 2025 boom, a lot of the time what we saw was ROIs come down as the boxes got more expensive. They also become more illiquid. So at a certain point, it makes sense to sell your more expensive boxes, in my opinion. If you want to hold a few, probably a good idea too. Like I don't mind if you're building a large position, have a little bit of exposure, but if you're buying right now and the goal was to maximize ROI, probably not going to be the best place to put your money. Slabs and Seal reinvested about 150K back into most. Wow, that's crazy. That you're up to 455 now. Super impressive, man. Jolly B, what's up, bro? Happy New Year, brother. Are you having a big feast tonight? Are we gonna have another Friendsgiving? And if you do have one, by the way, please do not share photos of the food in Discord. I will get super hungry. And I already am really hungry, man. I haven't eaten anything today, so I was super jealous when you posted those photos. Everything looked amazing. Do you have any experience in Riftbound? Not yet. It's something that I'm looking into doing, Oda. Maybe in the future. This turned into One Piece stream. It did. But look, guys, I gotta go back and share this. Okay, let me get this off the screen. Let me get this off the screen. Share this. Go back to this one. Sword and Shield. Sword and Shield is popping. Pick a set. It doesn't matter. Brilliant Stars. This box is going to be $700 real quick if things continue. I think we're basically at the point where finding boxes under 600 is impossible. Actually impossible. So good luck. I mean, maybe on Facebook or something. But yeah, all these boxes, Brilliant, Chilling, Evolving, Fusion, that's kind of the point of this live. They're all moving. Even looking at Crown Zenith, I wouldn't be shocked either if Celebrations is moving too. I'm actually going to check. I'm curious. We don't do the specialty set update for a while. Interesting. It's actually coming back down to around 238. A lot of sales. Wow. Okay. I kind of figured that Celebrations would maybe be doing a little bit better than this, especially going into 2026. Crown Zenith, you can see up to around 212. We're getting close again, guys. A lot of sales, 220. Some lower ones too, but yeah, all the good Sword and Shield stuff. Continuing to move. I believe in the IP 2 years ago. That's why I bought OPO5. But at this time, I didn't know the manga would end in 5 years. That's why I took the spike as opportunities. Yeah, I mean, some people are going to sell and make good money, and maybe that'll end up being the right decision. But I think when you look at the macro gambling culture, rip and ship culture, it's only a matter of time before people start opening more OPO5, OPO9. Like, where can you open a booster box for $400 and pull a $10,000 card, pull a $2,000 card, another one that's $1,500, another one that's five, two more at five, maybe after that. Lots of cards in the $300 range. Maybe Magic, like there's a couple collector boxes or something, but it's just it's so deep, and the cards are beautiful too. So I understand why people who are fans of the game and the IP want to collect these cards. I absolutely understand now. We had a super chat come in. Nicholas, what's up, man? Profit, long time subscriber here. Where do you see PE surprise box cases in 2028? In 2028, okay. Also sealed 151 Snorlax, Mew, and Mewtwo promos in 2028. Thanks, bro. Nicholas, thank you for the super chat. Good question. I mean, the surprise box is something that isn't really my favorite investment from Prismatic. I feel like there's so many good options. You can go with the PCTBs. Obviously, I'm still a fan of regular ETBs, booster bundles, bundle displays. The SPC obviously is a good choice as well. So the surprise boxes aren't up there on my list as like the top investments. I think it could be interesting to have a little bit of exposure just in the event they become fairly rare. I think we saw a lot of surprise boxes hit the market earlier this year though. So I do question like how many are actually being opened. But yeah, I don't think it's one of the best sets. I don't even know what market value is right now on those, to be honest. Let me check. I'm curious. Surprise box in Pokemon Prismatic. They are going for, I can't even find it. Let me look it up. I don't know if I just can't search properly, but I can't find the product on TCG Player. Okay, here we go. They're like what, $43 loose? I know you're talking about the cases, but I mean these haven't done anything the entire year, so definitely not one of my top investments. I don't think they're going to do that well compared to some other Prismatic. Uh, what would that be? 3 years from now, though, maybe they're $80 loose, and then multiply that by case. I don't think there's going to be a huge case premium. That would be my guess. In terms of the promo cards, your guess is probably as good as mine. I don't know. Like we had such a pump on the PCTB promos this year, and even the UPC promos. They're beautiful cards though. Like I really enjoyed the Mew. I love the colors and everything. The Snorlax is great as well. So yeah, I think they're gonna retain their value fairly decently compared to a lot of the other promo cards in the SV era. But to put a price on them, man, like I would just be guessing. So I don't want to do that to you. And hopefully that makes sense. I would rather say I don't know than just throw out a ridiculous guess that doesn't make sense. Let's see. I think I lost track here of where I was. Maybe this one, I think. For someone who isn't exposed to One Piece, what do you recommend looking into? I think right now, I'm always a big fan of buying the best sets. And the clear best sets, in my opinion, are OPO5, if I can get this on screen. Maybe this hand's better. OPO5, you have OPO9, PRBO1, and then OP13 is obviously the number one. So those four sets are going to be your top tier, in my opinion. There's going to be arguments outside of those. OP11's great. You have Gold and Silver Luffy. That's kind of moving its way into like the top A tier conversation, I feel. But PRBO1, Romance Dawn, those are good shouts as well. OP12 is still fairly cheap. I think it's a mid tier set, but the fact it's just so cheap kind of makes sense in my opinion. Same thing with like Wings of the Captain, some of these other sets. It really depends on what you have access to in terms of market price, but the top tier ones are what you should probably prioritize getting a lot of. Do you think the PC ETB is worth the 3 to 4x multiple of the regular ETB, specifically Prismatic? Asking again, since didn't know if you answered the first time. I don't think I did see it the first time I had one. Um, I'm gonna say no, but I also don't have huge positions in PCTBs. I mean, maybe 3 to 4x does work. They're rarer than the regular ETBs. Yeah, maybe it actually, now that I'm thinking about it more, it might make sense, especially at like 3x. That seems a little low. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's tough to tell. Like, it's a more exclusive product, probably less of them out there. If you look at the PC promo pop report, I think it's fairly high too. So a lot of these were being opened. I I'm gonna give you a biased answer though, just because I don't have huge positions in PCTBs. But it wouldn't surprise me if they outperform the loose ones at this point. 6-7, guys. Jolly. If we weren't such good friends, man, if we weren't such good friends, I'd be a little more upset. But I hope we leave. I really hope we leave that in 2025. I'm gonna be honest. I don't know why it bothers me so much, but it does. I sold my 11 Blooming Waters and Astral Radiance booster box for 24.50 total to buy Evolving Skies booster box at market. All right, yeah, it could play out. I'm not a huge fan of collection boxes. I don't like Astral. I don't mind the play. As long as you're happy with it, that's all that matters. Thank you for stopping by, dude. Let's see. I'm confused by the fact that Shilling BB case has 20% premium over loose, where Brilliant has 0%. As for my collector app and Facebook listing. Yeah, so I would say that, first of all, I'm not a huge fan of collector. I think their app is trash. Same thing with even Shiny has issues. I think Shiny is better than collector. Like, I genuinely believe that. But a lot of these platforms, they have issues with figuring out which data points to show you. And I think if you look at eBay and you actually take like a fairly wide uh, time horizon, right? Like if you look at a month or 2 months worth of data, it'll show you that there really isn't like huge premiums right now on a lot of these cases. It's nowhere near 20%, I would imagine. And I think Facebook listings, like obviously people are going to shoot high. So that, if you're taking Facebook listings, that makes sense to me. But when you just look at the wider market, you look at TCG Player, eBay, actual sales going on, a lot of the time there is no premium at all. Now in the future, will that change? Sure. Like I think there should be a premium. To me, it makes a little bit more sense, but to be 20%, I don't think that's really that likely, in my opinion. At least not for booster boxes. We'll see though. We'll see. That might age like milk. I would older stuff is better. Oh, we're talking about XY there, I think, right? Saw your video from yesterday, earlier today. Do you think Sun and Moon ROI still has a ways to run? Um, I think Sun and Moon's probably past its prime in terms of ROI, if I'm being honest. Especially a lot of these more expensive boxes like Team Up, that had an annualized ROI of 90%. It'll probably still be pretty strong over the next couple of years, I would imagine. I don't think it's going to be anywhere near 90% though. And even some of the cheaper stuff, Unbroken Bonds Unified, maybe those run to like 4 in the next 3 years and it's still fairly high. 5K, who knows? But I think Sword and Shield Air is probably better at this point. That would be where I'm placing my bets. And nothing too crazy tonight, just hanging out with the fam. That's awesome, man. That's what I'm gonna end up doing as well. I got a little bit more work, consult at 5 p.m. and then at around 6, I think I'm just gonna chill for a little bit. Won't do anything crazy though. Might end up doing my taxes tonight too as well. I like doing it like the last day of the year, just getting everything finished and ready for January before I start buying a bunch of stuff and doing a ton of transactions, and then it gets a little bit more hectic. When you are selling investments, do you sell yourself or move them through consignment like Probstein? I sell myself for the most part. I'll sell on like Facebook or eBay. If you're in the States, I think Probstein makes a lot more sense though. Being in Canada, we have Slab Sharks. They're okay, but I think when you look at their rates, it's a lot higher than Probstein. Just hold packs at that point. I'm not sure what that was in reference to. Sorry. Profit, love the videos, man. Nerf, what's up, bro? What is your take on Destin Rivals? I really want to go all in at 380, but not sure if it's the right time. Thanks. Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you as well. I'm definitely not going all in at 380. I It's interesting. I've been asking a couple people like what's your buy point on Destined? I'm still banking on them doing a reprint. Like the fact they haven't given us more boxes, booster boxes that is, I think it's coming. I mean, you look at what happened to Surging, went from realistically 280 down to around 210. Maybe you want to say it's 200. There were some listings below that on eBay, like 195, whatever. I think Destined under 300. I would start building a position, but I'm not going to go crazy. Like I get some, if that's early 2026, fine. Then towards the end of 2026, I'll probably start picking up a little bit more, and then into 2027, same deal. But yeah, 380, like I'm definitely not buying. And by the way, like even around 300, I'm not gonna love it if it's early next year. Now, if it's end of 2026 and it's $300 a box, I'd probably feel a little bit better. Obviously, getting into 2027, like if we're Christmas 2027 and the boxes are 380, 390, I'm probably going to start going fairly heavy at that point. But I think it's just too early. DJ, what's up, man? Happy New Year. Hope things are going well. As a new eBay seller, do you have any tips and tricks for the platform? Uh, I'll give you one tip that I think is probably the best thing you can do as a new seller, and that is under promise and over deliver. That's like the key to doing a good job in customer service, I think, and just selling products. If people expect a worse thing and you give them a better thing, they're going to be happy. But if you make them expect a really nice thing and it's not up to their expectations, it might be bad for your feedback. So that's what I say. I always just try and go above and beyond when I'm selling. Be honest. Like if there's any damage to anything, make sure that you highlight it, note it. Just be upfront with people. They really appreciate that, and it's gonna be something that pays dividends in the long run. Thank you. Yeah, no problem, man. Hopefully that answered your question. Um, sorry it probably wasn't as detailed as you would have liked, but yeah, I think there's better prismatic products. Hello, Swole. What's going on, brother? Happy New Year. Swole Toto. That's one of my goals, by the way, for 2026. Get swole again, man. I used to, I mean, maybe not super jacked, but I used to power lift. I'd go to the gym like 7 times a week, twice a day sometimes when I was doing it competitively. I gotta get back on that. Even just walking and shit more. Like I getting towards 30, I gotta start dialing in that. Why do One Piece cards say sample over the artwork on TC? Yeah, I think it's just to prevent that. It's kind of just a precautionary thing from Bandai when they release the leaks. So, not really a huge issue. Obviously, in person, not going to be on the card. Let's see. Just bought OP01 white bottom booster box and case of OP13. Awesome, man. What did you pay for the OP13? And are you planning to dollar cost average? Because things are expensive now. And I think it still could run, but I wouldn't be surprised if a reprint hits. And then at that point, people are going to have to DCA. You missed my question earlier. I'm getting Sword and Shield boxes at the following prices in Canadian: Evolving 2800, Fusion 1000, Lost 800, Silver 550, Brilliant 650. What order would you prioritize? It's so funny because it's so funny because I buy everything Canadian, right? Because I'm from Canada. But when I'm working with Sword and Shield boxes now, it's almost easier to be in USD just because I can't do the conversion well either off the top of my head. I would say Brilliant. It seems like a pretty good price because I think USD we're up to around 600 now. So that seems kind of obvious. Lost around 8 seems pretty good. Same thing with Fusion. Like they all seem fairly solid. Um, I think if you're trying to get all of them, maybe you just prioritize buying the most expensive one first. I think it's going to be really close between Brilliant, Lost, Fusion, Evolving over the next couple of years in terms of ROI. So I don't think it's like you have to race to get one of them right now. But yeah, Brilliant seems probably the closest or like the cheapest when you do the conversion. Maybe I'm off with Evolving though. I don't know. Hopefully that answers your question. Lucky James, what's going on, man? Happy New Year. Thank you for stopping by the stream. Appreciate you being here. We'll probably go for, it's been an hour and 10 minutes already. Time flies. I'll go for like another 30 minutes, maybe a little bit more. I also like Prismatic products with cheapest pack price. Packs of top sets in large quantities seem to bring premium on eBay. Think rip and ship. Yeah, I like Prismatic too. Cheapest price per pack also seems like a good strategy to go about. As long as it's like a sealed product and maybe not like 3 pack blisters, something like that. Even the collection boxes. I know some people are, what is it, the Umbreon, Sylveon figures, whatever that figure collection is. I think that's fine if you're buying at Costco prices or wherever they're getting restocked. That's great, but market, I hate paying market to get collection boxes. Hi Grayson, hope you're doing well. I caved and bought a cosmic booster box last week. The flex. Thank you, man. I'm doing well. Happy New Year to you and your family. Cosmic booster box. That's crazy. Did you buy on eBay? And if so, what did you pay for it? I'm curious because I think those are back to around. I would have to check my spreadsheet, but I think. Let me actually look because I don't want to just talk out of my ass if I don't have to. Scroll down. Scrolled way too far down. Okay, give me a second, guys. Let's see. This is Sun and Moon era. 3,500 average sale price. That's not bad. That's pretty good now on Cosmic. I wouldn't be surprised if it's back to 4K sometime early next year. Thanks again for working with me on the. Yeah, for sure. No problem, Austin. Just paid, and I'm booking our first consult. Okay, perfect. Yeah, I'll be looking for that. And after we do the first one, I'll get your WhatsApp too. We'll get you in the group. Uh, and if you want the spreadsheet, because I know you're in there and then you dipped out after, so if you want the spreadsheet again, let me know. I will email that to you, or get you the invite, I guess rather. I love the set in Ascended Heroes, but I heard it's bad investment, I'm starting a Pokemon collection. What should I do starting cheap? Ascended Heroes is going to be a great set. So I like Ascended Heroes long term, but it's not even out yet. It's probably going to get the prismatic treatment where they print a ton of it, and it's going to be in the life cycle of the new printing facility being probably operational. So all of those things lead me to believe it's probably not a good idea to get a ton of Ascended Heroes out the gate. If you're buying it to sell instantly, like you're running a rip and ship or a business, different story. But as a long-term investor, I'll get like a tiny bit maybe out the gate if I can, but then it's going to be kind of a waiting game and just seeing what happens in terms of reprints. And if I miss out at that point, I miss out. Right now for cheap, I would buy some Black Bolt. Yeah, I like Black Bolt too. I think Black Bolt's great. I do think it's going to be around a while though. Um, you could go with sealed ETB cases. You can see behind me, I do have some ETBs. I thought they were going to be coming in a sealed case. They unfortunately didn't. But I think the sealed cases are an interesting option that you can go with for Black Bolt. And even White Flare, by the way, is something interesting. Happy New Year. Yeah, DJ, Happy New Year to your family as well. We're gonna have to connect in 2026. Do a collab or something. I think that could be fun. Especially, I mean, you have such a killer setup, dude. Like the audio sounds good and the backdrop is amazing. So yeah, you're doing good work, man, for sure. I sent a question in the Discord since it's too long for YouTube. Man, I'm not gonna be able to get to it if it's in Discord either right now. I'm just trying to go in order, right? So that's kind of what I'm doing here. I know some people don't like that and it's delayed, but if someone's taking the time to write something in the chat, I try my best to get to it, just because I feel like it's almost disrespectful to glaze over certain questions. And if I miss someone's question, I apologize. It's very easy to get lost when I'm looking at this, but yeah, I try my best. I think DR will hit 2K in the next 3 years, but it has room to drop to pain if they target it with reprints. Wow, 2K in the next 3 years. That is ambitious. I'm not sure I can get on board with that for the next 3 years, but we'll see. I could be wrong for sure. And if you're talking Canadian, I mean, maybe that's a little more realistic, but I kind of look at DR as it's kind of in line with Fusion Strike in my opinion. If you look at the top 10 value, maybe it's a better set, a little bit deeper, cards that people want, but the conversation about DR being like evolving skies level, I just can't get on board with that, man. I don't know. I think they're in different leagues. So I think it's gonna personally I think it's gonna appreciate a little bit slower than that. But if it does, that's awesome. And again, I'm probably just coping because I only have one box. So there you go. Feels like DR is one of those sets that I'm okay to miss if it never actually gets. Yeah, Charlie, that's kind of how I'm looking at it too. If that happens, it is what it is. Surprise box, the new build and battle box, kind of feels that way almost, right? But no, I think they're a bit different, right? Kinda, not really, not really. Yeah, if you want a few, like who knows? But it's I think there's better products out there. Is there a specific PCTB you'd load up on right now? I mean, uh, Ascended Heroes, if you can get them cheap, kind of makes sense. I haven't looked at Black Bolt and White Flare in like 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks, I think. The next spreadsheet update's gonna be interesting. Those were fairly cheap at one point. So and I didn't realize they got a restock either. Some people told me that after, and I was like, okay, that makes a lot more sense. But if those are still cheap, sure. I kind of like Ascended Heroes though, just because I think the promo, if I remember correctly, is the N Zekrom, that one, and I think that's going to be probably a better promo long term than like Thunderous or Landorus. So yeah, and even the set, I think Ascended Hero is probably going to be a little bit better than Black Bull White Flare. That set's absolutely juice. So yeah, I think it depends on the price. Gundam or Riftbound? One Piece. It's always one. The answer is always One Piece. And if you want an alternate answer, Union Arena. That's my alternate troll answer. Is most of your viewers um is most of your viewers Canadian? Not sure if you ever check your yeah, my analytics, it's still like I'd say about 60% US, maybe even 70% on the Pokemon channel. The One Piece channel is a little more global though. I think it's a bit lower there, maybe like 55, 60. But yeah, still really, really heavy North American base. I know you're not a huge singles guy, but I feel like some OPSPs are undervalued. Yeah, maybe still. I mean, so many of them have run though, right? Like, which one do you point to and say is undervalued now? It's uh, it's tough. I feel like the market's fairly valued a lot of them, but if we keep seeing demand for those cards increase, then sure, they're undervalued. And by the way, some of them are so cool. Like I'm kind of at a crossroads now because I love the Whitebeard, I like the Buggy, and I just never picked them up even though I love the cards. And now that I'm getting deeper into One Piece and just becoming a larger fan outside of just investing, I kind of want to get them for my collection, so I might end up overpaying for some SPs. Paid 240 USD for OP11 and 120 for OP12. Thoughts? Yeah, I think OP11 right now is probably one of the better bang for your bucks when it comes to booster boxes. We've had restocks in North America. I don't know if we'll have another one. The gold Luffy SP just went for like 9,700 in a BGS 10 through Probestein. So if those cards keep going, and a lot of people prefer the gold version to the original, the original manga from OP05. So yeah, like if demand keeps going on that card, 100% that's going to drive the booster boxes up. The other thing too, when you look at OP11, and people can go check if they don't believe me. The Monkey D. Luffy, the Gear 4 manga in there, has the lowest PSA 10 rate out of any manga, excluding PRBO1 reprints, which even including those, it might still be the lowest. I just haven't checked the data, so I can't say for certain. Lowest PSA 10 rate, the lowest BGS black label rate as well at 0.43%. And I think there's only like one or two in existence. So I'm a big fan of OP11. It's performed much better than I thought it would. I still hate the SPs, by the way. And I've pulled a couple of the SPs. I pulled the Sanji SP, I pulled the Rayleigh SP. I hate the fact that they just plop an artwork in the middle. Sure, the backgrounds look cool. It's related to the character, awesome. But I like the look of the OP06 SPs, where it's actually kind of like an action shot. Same thing with OP10. Like the Whitebeard SP is amazing. That's one of my favorites. So yeah, good buys in my opinion. I think both of those have room to grow. Even OP12, like it's a mid-tier set in my opinion. It's not going to be a world beater, but the fact that it's just so cheap compared to basically everything else in One Piece right now, it makes sense to me. It's one of the safer options. Used to hate investing content, but I think you're a genuine guy, and I've really been enjoying your content lately. Sword and Shield to the Moon, baby. Pokemon Phenom, I appreciate that, man. Um, I feel like there's a lot of people like you, right? That just whatever. It's funny too. It's really funny. I think that this is gonna get ranty, but a lot of people that are against investing in Pokemon, if you if you push back on their beliefs and really get to the core of the issue, they're all kind of hypocrites, right? Like a lot of people who hate Pokemon investing, they'll invest in the stock market, they'll invest in homes, they'll invest in cars, real estate, like rental properties, whatever it is, right? And that's all fine. But then when you invest in cardboard, it's somehow some evil thing. And if I had $1 for every time someone called me a scalper this year, I'd probably be ready to retire, right? Like it's every day you just get spammed with it, especially back in like January, February. And the people that would look at what I owned, a lot of it was Sword and Shield, and I bought probably 95% of my Sword and Shield on the Pokemon Center for MSRP years after it released. Years. So it was there. Anyone could have bought it. And then people would be like, "Oh, you're taking away cards from kids." First of all, kids aren't buying a $200 booster box, okay? So I didn't feel bad about that. The second thing is, it was there for years. Nobody wanted it, right? So the second things get scarce, the second things start to move up, people start hating on your success. And the other thing, too, is there are a lot of people in this space who do really bad business, scalpers. I've never been a fan of people who go to stores and buy product. I never go to retail stores and buy product. And if I do, I go to buy one thing that I'm planning to open. So for me, people people can coexist, right? Collectors, great. People who are long-term investors, awesome. Just do things properly. Do things morally. I have no issue with buying product and sitting on it. It's going to appreciate, and someone's going to buy it from me in the future for more. Like I see no issue with that, right? As long as I sell the product in a just way, I'm not trying to scam anyone. As long as they're not trying to scam me, I think it's perfectly fine, right? So yeah, we're all humans at the end of the day, and as people who were on that side, someone like you, I think the dehumanizing of investors was kind of problematic this year. And it'll happen again too. I mean, it's happening in One Piece right now. Next Pokemon boom, same thing's gonna happen. It's whatever. I try not to let it get to me, but I do think that people can just coexist. Hopefully we get to that point next boom. Probably not though. Probably not because there's gonna be so much money to be made in the type of rage bait content that a lot of these anti-investors make on YouTube. And as long as that money's there, people are going to keep making that content. I was super late with getting the OP13 case, paid 2,700 euros. At least you got the treasure packs, though. That's awesome. Are you planning to open those? I think the Luffy, we saw a PSA 10 for like 5K, or maybe it was BGS 10, like some stupid number on that rare promo. But 2,700 euros isn't bad. I was looking with someone last night, like 8 p.m. PST. I think card market was up to like 3,100 euros. So things are moving. And there's only like two or three cases below maybe like 20 or excuse me, like 3,300 euros. So yeah, I don't mind it, but definitely be ready to DCA. Yeah, would love to. Okay, I'll send that to you after, Austin. No issues. Remind me though if I don't, because I got a lot going on. But I'll try and do that right as I end the stream, so I don't forget. Booster bundle display case, the booster box of specialty sets. Yeah, I've heard a lot of people say that, Marco. I think it's a reasonable argument to be made. It's one of the more interesting items. I'd love to collaborate. Yeah, man, reach out. We'll set something up. I think it'd be fun. Oh, I meant it's too long for YouTube. Like it won't. Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah, I think it's what 200 character limit, 250. That does kind of annoy me. I think we're almost caught up. This is amazing. Holy shit. Did not expect this. Fusion Strike was always ass. DR is better. Yeah, I mean, some people believe that. I could get on board with it. I don't think it's a bad take. I wouldn't say that Fusion is ass though. I think Fusion's a pretty solid set. I mean, the Gengar is amazing. Espeon, the Mew. I really like the Celebi. Maybe it's a little bit more top heavy than something like Destin, but come on, it's not a Stellar Crown, it's not a Paradox Rift, it's not a Steam Siege. We got to be a little bit more nuanced. Why is no one buying Prismatic SPC off GameStop website for 190? I've gotten 8 so far. They aren't offering free shipping anymore, unfortunately. That's a good question. I mean, I live in Canada, so I can't even buy those, I don't believe. And if I could, I might buy a couple more. I feel like people are waiting though, because there was rumors of, I believe, Costco getting the SBCs. So why buy them for 190 if you're gonna be able to get them for like 80 bucks in a month? But I don't know if that's still happening. I don't really pay attention to restocks at all anymore. I've left all those groups. It's just not something I pay attention to. So yeah, I really don't know what's going on there, but seems like it's going to be a good product long term. What do you think about the Pika Gengar Chinese exclusive pickup right now or hold? I don't even know what the price is on that Solano. I will say though, I like language exclusive cards now a lot more than I used to. I think that especially in One Piece, some of these language exclusives are amazing. Like the simplified Chinese Vivi, the treasure rare from OP13, beautiful card. The Luffy in English is great too, but I think there is a place for language exclusives just because they are exclusive. If you can find it in both languages, you obviously go with English, but if that's your only option, for sure. All right, I think I've caught up on chat almost. I think after this we'll call it our day. There's shops in Vancouver taking pre-orders for OP13 case reprints. Is it confirmed? I don't know. Beastie, you should message me on Discord. If they have online websites, I would be curious to check those out. If it's like a store in person, definitely feel free to send them my way. I'd be interested to look into that. I imagine it's coming. I mean, I don't think it's going to be a surprise if it happens. And I hope it's fairly sizable. I don't want them to print into the ground, but we need to get more boxes out there for sure. I want to buy more OP boxes, PRBO2 or 11, long-term investment, anything else I should be looking at without spending a crazy amount. I mean, those are probably two of the better options right now, Tristan, in terms of like price to value long term. I don't mind OPO9 as well. Like even I know it's 400, it's more expensive, but 11 and PRBO2 are probably going to be like bottom of A tier sets, at least right now. Whereas something like OPO9 is probably top of A tier at this point. Like it's absolutely crushing it, especially with the Gold Roger moving up. So yeah, you can go about it different ways. I think if you want to go the super cheap route, you go OP12 right now. It's cheap. It's going to be a mid-tier set. I don't think it's going to be a world breaker. I don't think it's going to be $1,000 box anytime soon, but could it get to 250, $300 in a few years? For sure. So hopefully that answers your question. Joe, what's up, man? Are you making a big collection of One Piece singles or just a few? It would just be a few cards that I want, and it would be something that I would maybe display behind me. But the Whitebeard SP, and I'm not gonna get ungraded cards. I would probably get graded. I mean, maybe I'd buy ungraded and grade them myself, but the Whitebeard SP from Royal Blood, I love. Buggy SP from OPO6. I have to get that eventually. Those are kind of like the two main ones right now that I want to get. Cross Guild as well. Yeah, maybe there's a few on there, but that's kind of the idea. Is just get a couple I want, and we'll see. That might be like a late 2026 gift thing. Maybe if the market cools down, I'll take advantage of that. But who knows? Who knows? Maybe I'll just pay full price if things keep going. Fusion is a Gengar set. DR is Team Rocket. Both are S tier. Both will do fine. But we're still waiting for Evolving Skies 2.0. I agree. I agree. They're both gonna do fine, but it doesn't compare to Evolving. You want to know what the Evolving 2.0 is? It's OP13. OP13 is the Evolving 2.0. But no, in SV era, I think Prismatic's closer to Evolving than Destin is. And anyone who disagrees with that, I think is just coping. But obviously, print runs have allowed for us to get a lot of cheap Prismatic product this year. But just looking strictly at the cards, that would be the better comparison. Thanks. Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you as well, man. I'm sure we'll be talking real soon. I'll have to check the booking, but yeah, I imagine it's gonna be very soon. We'll be chatting, and I look forward to it. Be fun. It's like 1.4, 1.5K PSA 10 right now. That's for the Gengar Pikachu. Yeah, I don't know, man. Like I don't follow these language exclusive cards. I have no clue if that's cheap or expensive or whatever. I just think in general, language exclusives can do well. But if you're asking me for my opinion, like I would just be flipping a coin, and that would be my answer. Swole saying OPO9. Tristan, I don't think it's a bad shout long term. If OPO5 is getting to 750, $800, if PRBO1's getting there, you have to expect OPO9 is going to be an $800 to $1,000 box eventually. You skipped my comment. Can you write it again? Existential. Trying to find it. This one. What would you say is a good price for Ascended Heroes? I don't know. What product are you talking about? PCTB, ETB? I don't even know what market is on those. I haven't been paying attention, but I mean, I'm hoping I'm hoping and expecting there's going to be a lot of those ETBs hitting Sam's Clubs and Costco's eventually since it's a specialty set. So, I don't know, around the same price I've been picking up Prismatic. 80 USD a year into print, maybe. That's what I would be trying to get them at. Maybe cheaper, who knows? Maybe it's going to be a little more expensive. We'll see. I try not to make predictions until the market kind of until we actually get some product. Like it's way too early in my opinion. But PCTBs, if you're finding them cheap, like obviously at MSRP 1.5x, maybe even 2x MSRP, it's maybe worth taking a flyer on. Do you think OP13 prices will go down with the new illustration boxes? No. If you're referring to the booster boxes, I don't think it's going to have any effect on the booster boxes. I mean, maybe slightly, but the only way those boxes come down in price is if we get a reprint. And once that happens, then sure, the prices will probably come down. What OP sets do you recommend to open from a hit rate perspective? So they're all fairly similar in terms of hit rates. I've been opening cheaper stuff this whole year. So uh I opened OPO6 when it was cheap. I pulled the Zoro manga. That was crazy. Royal Blood. I opened the Law manga as well. Um OP12 I think is fine. It's still fairly cheap. It's kind of like a decent set, middle of the road. You have the Bonnie manga in there. The Blackbeard Gold and Silvers are great. The SPs in that set as well. Zoro Juro, the Ace. So yeah, I think go for something cheap. I think that's the way to go. Outlook on Prismatic Evolution's booster bundle once it goes out of print. Yeah, they're gonna continue flying. Great set long term. Prismatic is evolving 2.0. Yeah, I would agree. Do you ever worry about Bandai's history with the TCG? I don't really. I mean, Bandai has done a lot of things right with One Piece that have kind of illustrated that they're learning from their mistakes. and I've said this numerous times, if anyone at Bandai has an IQ above 50 and understands what they're sitting on, they're not going to fuck this up. And if they do, it's going to be the fumble of a century. Because I think this could be a legitimate number 2 game behind Pokemon. Got a collection. I've been buying out, been buying 77, 78%. Got all the booster boxes. There's quite a bit of Sword and Shield ETBs he still has left. Should I work on buying out the ETBs? I mean, you could. If you're buying at 77, 78%, there's margin, right? And it's not like they're going to get cheaper. So it seems like a decent option. Face reveal is insane. Why is it insane, Clayton? Also, this isn't a reveal, man. I've been on camera probably for like a month now doing the live streams. 3 weeks, maybe 2 weeks at this point. And there's other videos on the channel. Like if you go back and watch some of the really old ones. So it's not a reveal, but why do you think it's insane? Do I look differently than what you expected? You wouldn't be the first. I feel like Ascended Heroes set looks really good. I agree. I think it looks great. Long term, I think it's going to be solid. I do worry about the print runs, though. I would imagine Pokemon will treat Ascended Heroes like they did Prismatic this year and see them everywhere. Hopefully, once Pokemon focuses on Ascended Heroes Prismatic, yeah, I would agree. I think it's going to get the same treatment. I mean, why wouldn't it when it's going to be like that big class set, high class, whatever they call it in Japanese? Like it's looking promising for sure. So yeah, I'm excited. Gengar, Charizard, the Dragonite looks great. So many other cards you could bring up. Bandai has learned. Yeah, I hope they've learned. I mean, everything they've done so far tells me that they've learned, but we'll see. It's going to be interesting to watch what they do with OP13 and even like 14, 15, 16, even 17 this year. That'll be cool. Have you seen the rainbow rares running up? I haven't. I saw Alex made a video on that today. I didn't watch it yet. Interesting. I'm not a huge fan of rainbow rares, but if people are starting to buy those out, making a play, all right. I could see it. If especially if there's not like a huge pop out there, it's possible. Maybe it's the new best thing again. Maybe we go back to like 2018, 2019. Everyone loves rainbows. But yeah, I personally hate rainbows, so not something I'll pick up just because of my bias. But again, that's just my bias. I think Ascended Heroes is the new Evolving Skies. I mean, you can make that argument too. Is there any evolutions in Ascended? I don't think so. But yeah, just in terms of the cards, like it could be for sure. The Gengar's awesome. Dragonite's pretty solid as well. Could be interesting. Do you think you'll do a stream with Alex in the future? I mean, it's up to him. It's not up to me. I would absolutely do it. There's lots of people I would enjoy doing streams with in the future. I've always said like I'm still super new to this, man. Like talking on a live stream's difficult. Talking in general for me has always been something very difficult. So, yeah, I think you just got to put your reps in. And also too, like a lot of people are really I mean, I understand if you have friends and connections, it makes sense to have them on your streams, but the expectation that you're just going to have access to someone's network, right, when they have like 3x your following is kind of ridiculous. Like I have people reach out to me and they want me to get on their live or their podcast or whatever, and they'll have like 500 subs, and it's like I'm sure you're a great person. I think it could be cool for sure talking to some individuals, but the the trade-off in value doing that isn't always there. So, if you really like someone and you want to chat with them and you think it'd be good value, I get it, but at the same time, like you gotta be on the same level as people, in my opinion. Rainbows are not cool. I would tend to agree with that. I'm not a huge fan of the rainbows, but if some people like them, that's awesome, man. Art is subjective, so if you enjoy the cards, that is all that matters, guys. We're gonna end this. It's 3:20. I got stuff to do. I'm sure a lot of you guys have stuff to do as well. Happy New Year. I'll probably upload tomorrow or the next day. Stay safe if you're going out. Drink responsibly. Don't drink and drive. And hopefully 2026 is a good year for everyone watching. We make some good gains, reach our goals, all that jazz. It'll be a fun time. Thank you guys so much for watching. Stay safe wherever you are in the world, and I'll catch you in the next one.